If you can relate it to the textures of everyday life, then I think you're taking the audience on a more extreme journey because things seem real and they're investing in the concrete reality of things. This is how director of 2005's Batman Begins, Christopher Nolan, described and justified his creative choice to reflect realist tones within a mythical world already seen by audiences and fans of The Dark Knight. As an evocative iteration of the famed superhero's origin story, the film's four-act structure follows protagonist Bruce Wayne through his creation as a defender of his city. With Nolan at the helm of the film's creative setting, a decidedly more realist tone and visual landscape was created to host Nolan's reinvention of cinema's Batman. To understand the creative choices and definitive marks that the creative team forged in this film is to also acknowledge the vast differences that Nolan made to previous iterations of Batman's character. In an interview with Absolute Radio, Nolan references the now camp coded Tim Burton directed Batman series, saying, I thought it was extraordinarily stylized and extremely idiosyncratic, but what it denied me, that I had seen in the comics, was the notion of Batman standing out against his environment, a relatively ordinary environment, so that the citizens of Gotham are as amazed by the iconic figure as the audience is. From this interpretation of the character and its settings, the audience is able to see why Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy grounds itself in realist editing, cinematography, and story structure, as well as world building that reflects modern day cities. Immersive is Nolan's favorite term, and that is what he wants the audience to experience. The cinematographer Wally Pitzfer helps him achieve this goal by applying more natural ways of filming in most of the scenes and using high resolution cameras. Editor Lee Smith and Nolan's collaboration within the film appropriately guides the film's realist resonance, whilst additionally engaging and heightening the tension of fast paced action and fight scenes. Nolan's reported aversion to overly edited filmmaking entailed a collaborative experience that continued to follow the beat of a realist cinema.
It's not a dance.
This video essay analyzes how the creative team behind Batman Begins worked together to form and interpret the film style. Although Batman Begins adopts some formalist techniques, it is decidedly grounded in realism. Batman Begins takes visual and thematic inspiration from neo-noir influences, neo-noir being the revival of the film noir movement that began in 1940s Hollywood. Neo-noir films began to gain traction in the 1970s, with such films as Roman Polanski's Chinatown and Ridley Scott's Blade Runner being categorized under the label of neo-noir. In several interviews, Christopher Nolan stated that Blade Runner's visual aesthetic, which blended surreal luminescent colors with grimy architecture, was one of his main inspirations when designing the look and feel of Gotham City, with his cinematographer and editor. Like in Blade Runner, Nolan and Pittsford employ a wide, sweeping shots of Gotham City to capture the grand scale of the setting and the story that is being told. Aerial helicopter shots are used to provide the audience a glimpse into Batman's perspective as he travels between the towering buildings of Gotham. Another homage to Blade Runner and noirs in general is the abundance of rain, as certain scenes are shot in what appears to be constant storms, which frequently plague the city. These torrents of rain and overall wet appearance of the city enhance the filthy aesthetic of the film, while also acting as an important element of storytelling. In several genres, noir in particular, rain is used as a narrative device to foreshadow disaster or conflict later in the film. Nolan and Smith apply this narrative principle with careful consideration. They don't persistently drench Gotham for the duration of the film. Instead, they focus on key moments such as when Batman encounters one of the villains, Scarecrow, for the first time, to increase the danger and suspense as the scene progresses. The use of deep shadow, along with a mixture of earthy and metal lighting tones, are effective in forming a landscape that is destitute and festering with crime. The contrasting colors also emphasize the inner conflict within Christian Bale's Batman. His self appointed duty to protect the innocence of Gotham while struggling to uphold his own moral code of never killing anyone and believing every person is redeemable. Questions of morality and justice are common themes explored in neo-noirs, but Nolan takes great care in tying these themes specifically to Batman's worldview and struggles throughout the film. Nolan wants the audience to believe that the Batman story exists in the real world. As shown in the film, Batman is not like other superheroes who rely on superpowers. during the filming process, although special effects houses are still used to avoid some computer generated imagery, the film relies more on filming in real locations, including the streets of Chicago and a glacier in Iceland. Additionally, Nolan and Pittsfer also use miniatures instead of special effects to create scenes that look real.
Okay. Hey, let me have it. It's a nice coat.
Be careful who sees you with that. They're gonna come looking for me.
Who?
Everyone.
Nolan's collaboration with editor Lee Smith in the film would stand as the first of many films the pair had worked together on, with Nolan's usual film style presenting more complex and layered plot points and scenic creations. Batman Begins stands as arguably both Smith and Nolan's most formulaic and realist piece of cinema. With earnest and relatable scenescapes being portrayed, Smith's languid edit throughout the film reflects that of noir and realist cinema, with long establishing shots descending into Gotham's slums contrasted with quick cuts of high rise buildings within the inner city. Smith establishes the city's immense wage gap and accurately reinforces one of the film's key themes of injustice, in this case related to wealth. Given the protagonist's lack of supernatural abilities, the editing of the fight scenes throughout the film are appropriately cut without being edited with overproduced sounds or over-stylized scenes, all of which were prominent within Burton's previous Batman series. Observing the hyper-stylized previous iteration, the contrasting editing and final production of Batman Begins gives credence to the creative team's venture to reinvent the character of Batman into a more realistic setting that verses more relatable to viewers. While still a superhero movie, Smith appropriately navigates the beats of an action superhero film whilst also matching the realist and noir senses that director Nolan implements within his film style.